All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Today we've got Valerie Van de Zilver, a good friend of ours, and she, believe it or not, I know she may not believe it, but she inspires so many people to do video because the way that she shoots her videos is very, very authentic, and it just strikes so many people because it connects with them at such a deep level. And Valerie, we got to give you props with that. So congrats on that. And obviously my co-hosts on this, Nick Niehaus, Jeff Fitzer, together along with Michael Glazer, who's not here, and Vanessa Lobo, we run a business video school. And today we're going to welcome Valerie Van de Zilver. Thank you, Valerie. Guys, anything you want to add here before we get started?
I do. Valerie is the most humble, kind, sweet, awesome human being. Besides the fact that she's an amazing realtor in Southern California, Val, it is an honor to have you here. And I know Val and I went back and forth leading up to this, and it proved her how humble she is. Like, she's as real, and I told her this, she's as real as you can get. So if you struggle with any piece of, integrating video into your business, you got to listen to Val.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, Nick, anything you want to add, or let's get going?
I'm ready. I got a list of questions here, man. I'm excited to chat.
You get started. Go ahead, and then we'll just kind of chime in between.
Yeah. So Valerie, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. This is a real honor, and you know how much I think of you guys, Jeff and Tristan and Nick.
Of course, yeah, I appreciate it. I have a lot of respect for them. I have a lot of respect for you. One thing I think is gonna be really interesting today is that I know all three of you have sort of very different styles, different approaches here, so it'll be cool to hear about a new one. The one thing that really stood out to me, I've been seeing Valerie, I think I've been seeing your videos for about a year or so now, and it really, impresses me how many people look up to you and what you do. And I like, I think what our goal here is today is to create more people making videos that act the way you do, and less kind of cocky video influencer types, right? Because I think there's a little bit too much of that out there. So we appreciate everything you're doing, and especially all that you're doing to help other people realize that they can do this too, right? This doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be complicated. So I want to start there. It's kind of my first question for you is take us back to the beginning, right? So you've been in real estate for quite a while. You've been doing video for a while. So talk to us about when you made that transition, right? So you've been in real estate. Obviously, you had things that were working for you. Why did you at first decide to start using video?
So I've been in real estate my whole adult life. It's all I've ever done. And that was after I wanted to be a missionary nurse to Africa. Then I got into real estate, and I have no idea how those two match, but they do. and then I segued out of that for a few years, and just by coincidence started managing vacation rental properties. And I decided I wanted to get back into making real estate my main focus. And someone that I worked with said, you need to do videos. So at that time, there was a company that was primarily the only game in town, and they were helping realtors do videos. They were pretty much just market updates, what's happening with interest rates. And they were nice, but nobody saw them. I mean, some people saw them, but they certainly weren't game changers. So I had met Mike Cuevas years ago when he was the Chicago short sale dude, and thought he was a pretty crazy guy then. He moved to San Diego, and I reconnected with him, and he then started talking about how he was doing videos for agents and helping the agents create their own personality. So I said, well, I want to do that. So we started working together, and he helped me. I had an idea for a name, which Tristan told me was a good idea, so that made it better. And it was my OC Vibes, and Mike helped me develop that. And we just started out together. He gave me some ideas, and I said, but what if nobody likes me? He said, they already don't like you. People aren't going to work with you who don't like you. So don't worry about the ones who don't like you. That's not going to change. You just want to work with the ones who will like you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's more about finding more of the people who like you, right? I think that's a great point. Well, so one of my follow-up questions on that, Valerie, is I've heard from a lot of agents that we've worked over the years that had tried video, right? And they did it for a couple months, very similar to what you're saying. Maybe they did the market updates, things like that. And they stopped because it wasn't working. And they kind of just wrote it off at that point. They're like, video's not for me. It didn't work, So why do you feel like, you had this experience to get started, which a lot of, I think, other agents have, but you came back to it. So what was it about that initial experience, even though it wasn't necessarily driving results, that kind of kept you interested in video, do you think?
I'm a person who's never wanted to do just the same as everybody else.
Okay.
And when I discovered that I could use videos to embellish, enhance, bring out my own personality, that was very interesting to me. I started public speaking actually when I was 8 years old. I won a talent contest, and that was my first time on the stage, and it was great. And since that point on, I've always liked being in front of people. And we all like to do things that we do well, and speaking is one thing that I started doing well then and have done well since then. So when I found out that I could be a little bit crazy and I could do videos and do something different than everybody else was doing, that's what I was really interested in. That's what I wanted to do. I don't want to be like everybody else.
Gotcha. Okay. So is that something that you had already kind of leaned into with other marketing efforts, or are there other examples of where you were able to kind of use that in your existing marketing before you went to video, or did video open that up for you?
No, I always, that's something I've always done. I've done some things that were really different that everybody else wasn't doing. And that's kind of what I've always tried to do. I've always wanted to do something. I'll get an idea that really doesn't relate to real estate, or that somebody else is doing in a different part of real estate. I had an idea of something that people were doing in the mortgage business, and I took that into real estate, and have always tried to come up with something that everybody else wasn't doing, because we need to stand apart from everybody else. Right. There's millions of agents. So really, and the thing that I hope to help people learn is, what is your story? We all have a story. And I needed to find that story and figure out what it was that I could do. But the thought of doing stuff that was a little crazy, I just thought that would be a lot of fun. Interesting.
Okay. Well, so let's talk about that story a little bit, because you mentioned the brand of OC Vibes and kind of defining or kind of figuring out what that story is that you're trying to share. How did you, tell me about that process? I guess, did you use a formal process to kind of come to the decision to first of all, to develop that brand, and then also, how did you kind of determine that story?
I've been in real estate in Orange County for a long time, and a lot of the homes that are around now, I worked for the home builders when we created those communities. And my early career was working for home builders. So a lot of the communities in Orange County, I was the sales manager of those homes when they were first built. So a lot of my background is the creation of Orange County. I probably sold over, I don't know, maybe 10,000 homes.
Whoa.
Including my new home builder experience. And when I was doing mortgages, I was doing 400 or 500 loans a year. So I've done a lot of volume in Orange County. So what could it be that would really set me aside? So I came up with the idea of OC Vibes. Then I met Tristan at a deep dive in San Clemente, and we were all talking about something, and I said, well, I have this idea. And he said, what's your idea? And I said, how do you like OC Vibes? And he said, oh, I think that's great. You should use that. I said, you do? Okay, so that was kind of my aha moment. I thought that was kind of verification that was a good idea.
I remember that, and it wasn't that long ago, Valerie. That's the cool thing. So people that are watching in are thinking, well, you know what? She's been doing videos since probably iPhone 2 or 3, and no, you recently started, right? That's what inspires so many. I think the ones that realize, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, remember, Tristan, when you said that, I called my husband. He said I can do this, and I can have this great website, and I can do all these things. And so we kind of developed then the OC Vibes, because I'm really not a community agent. And that, I think, is a challenge for some people. Some people are community agents, and I've always envied them in some ways, because they have a specific neighborhood that's who they are. And that's not who I am, because I've worked all over Orange County. So it was a real challenge for me. How could I create something? Because I'm not in any one city. I'm not in any one subdivision. So OC Vibes is really what I am. And then the challenge is to create that. So our first video, the first video I did with Mike Cuevas, was really about Orange County, all the things that Orange County has to offer.
I remember that video.
Yeah.
So I have a question, if I could just go in between yours, Nick, really
Go
quick,
ahead. Yeah.
which may be one of your future questions, I think. But Valerie, what goes into preparing? Because I think most agents overthink the preparation and never get into the doing part of it.
So I am an over preparer personified. You know, I'm one of those that has to have everything perfect. The first video I did was a market update, and I talked about this last week. And we must have spent 4 or 5 hours. I had an assistant that filmed for me. We went to one of my houses and I sat in a chair and we did over and over and over and over again. I thought, oh, you know, I've got to be perfect. I've got to be good. Everybody else is better than me. I still feel that way. But I finally got to where, and again, you know, Mike Cuevas helped me with this. He said, don't worry, everybody's not going to like you, but it's okay. So then I started feeling like, okay, why don't I just have fun with this? Because if they're not going to like me anyway, what do I care? Right? And I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to have a good time. So I became more comfortable with that. And I think that even the people who respond to me, you know, we did a video that had 50,000 views and hundreds of people respond, I want to be like you, I want to be like you, but they don't really know how to get started. Well, that's me. You know, for me, I never really get started. And so, you know, so we finally, because I want it to be perfect. So I finally just started thinking of ways, but again, so like my restaurant video, I did a restaurant video at a fish restaurant, but how could I do it different? So the story of the owner of the restaurant was that he went fishing every weekend with his dad when he was little and grew up wanting to own a fish restaurant. So I got a plastic fish from Target and a fishing pole and a hat and went down to the pier and pretended that I was fishing and said, how many of you ever went fishing with your dad and dreamed about what you wanted to be when you grew up? So you do something where it's not, and then we went to the restaurant. Or I did one on Balboa Peninsula where I wanted to ride a bike or do something that's islandish at Balboa Island, but I certainly can't skate ride and I'm not a great bicycler. So I went and bought a scooter at Target, you know, a little kid's scooter, and I rode my scooter up to the restaurant, you know, then did the restaurant. So the idea was to do something just a little bit different, you know, that I could do that would set me aside and I would have fun with that. And when I got into the part of having fun with it was when then I could relax. But then once I start the serious video, I'm as nervous as everybody else is. So, you know, nobody needs to think that I'm perfect or that I relax. I still am nervous every time I do one, but just try to make it fun. And I think that's a real clue. There's one thing, you know, I can bring out to everybody today is everybody has a story. We all have some story, some fire inside of us that came from somewhere. We were growing up, something our dad said to us that we never forget. You know, my dad said something to me that wasn't very nice, and I'll go to my grave remembering that one thing, you know. So we all have something inside of us that either gets our fire burning or that upset us or something that we did when we were kids or we've done since we're growing up. So just try to bring that out and make something fun out of it.
Love that, man.
Long answer.
I love that you, and you probably didn't even realize you were doing this, but your hooks on those videos were incredible. You know, you actually invested a little bit of money and you went and bought a fake fish and a fishing pole and a hat. I mean, talk about grabbing somebody in, and pay attention to that, folks, because her ideas, first of all, she's got some really good ideas, but interviewing restaurants, that's not, you know, that's nothing new. A lot of people are doing that, but she took it one step further and incorporated a hook, something that grabs your attention rather than you standing at a restaurant saying, here I am outside of, let's go on in. I mean, that's what you always see. She did something bigger and better. And I mean, like you said, like, I just don't go jump on a bike. She mentioned she was 8 years old, which if you're doing math at home, that's like 21 years ago. That's how long ago that was, when she was 8, just so people can reference her age.
Yeah.
That makes you 29, Valerie. Don't try to lie about it. But what she did there, what she's done with her videos, incorporating, you know, getting somebody involved. You know, we invite people to do that all the time. You have Cuevas. Mike Cuevas is incredible. He's an amazing video guy. He's got an amazing service. And Val, what I love about what you did is you realized you had that weakness and you seeked out somebody who was doing it at a high level that could help guide you. And I think sometimes that's all that a lot of the people that are on this today just need. They might just need that mentor to help them with some ideas, to help them with some hooks, to help them push them over the edge. Maybe you pay for it, maybe you don't. It just depends on what you who you employ to do that. But I love what you did there. And Nick, let me ask a quick question here from the Q&A.
Yeah.
Amanda asked, do you recommend that I personally appear in my videos or share important information in video form? That's a good question. We've all answered that question a million times. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, look, I was never picked in high school for being the homecoming queen. And I was never Miss America. So if the question is, should you not appear because you don't think you're good looking enough? I mean, I'm not tall enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not rich enough, and I'm not young enough. So you guys can all do it. So I think, Tristan, I think I think you should be in it. But if it's something it's not appropriate to be in it the whole time, I don't think that the video should be about, I want to be out there showing everybody how wonderful I am. That's not the purpose of the video. And the video is to have a little bit of fun. And I think that's, you're exactly, I think what people like about my videos is they all comment on them because they're fun and people watch them and they, they're different and whatever it takes. But there's, like I said, just find your story and create that personality and incorporate that into your business, whether it's a market update, an interest rate update, whatever it is, just incorporate that into your community, whatever. And sometimes, like Jeff said, you might need to pay somebody something to help you create your story or find your place, or just maybe to verify that your idea is good enough or is a good idea, or how to develop that story. Are you the real estate with balance? What is it about that? And then just incorporate that into your videos.
So true. So true. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that leads me to one of my other questions, Valerie, which is, as we've kind of been talking about already, I think one of the challenges for a lot of agents when it comes to video is what do I talk about? Like, what is the topic of each video? Do I have themes? Where do I come up with those topics? One thing that it sounds like you did is you sort of define this brand. What was it first? Like, did you come up with the idea for OC Vibes before you made any videos, or did that come from making your first few videos? Can you tell us a little bit more about that process of kind of coming up with that brand?
No, I had already been doing the market update videos, so to speak,
okay.
Interest rate videos, once a month. So how's the market this month? And it's not that never worked. I had clients who said, oh, I saw your video about refinancing or whatever. Yeah, and it was good. But then I wanted to be something different. I wanted to be something more. And I didn't know how to create that community. I wasn't a community agent. I'm not.
Right.
Because I've been all over Orange County. I've worked by referral. So wherever somebody wants to buy or do a loan, that's where I've gone. And so no, then I created OC Vibes and decided that I wanted to build on that.
Okay. And so do your topics that you end up focusing on in your videos, do they come from that idea that you want to be seen as kind of the OC Vibes agent, or do you just have a whim and say, oh, I want to make a video about this? Or how do you kind of come up with those ideas?
No, so in the spirit of OC Vibes, I need to be sure that I do things in all the areas where I service. So I do things at the beach. I do things in more like in central Orange County where my office is. I do a lot of work in the Disneyland area, so I do things there. So, but Orange County is really a small area. It's a lot of cities, but it's not a very big area. So it's somewhat easy to do that. And it's not unreasonable that people will go to Costa Mesa for coffee or go to Newport Beach and visit the Balboa Peninsula all in the same afternoon. It's not like driving from San Diego to Newport Beach. Everything's pretty close together. So I've created from people that I've known or new businesses, or a lot of it is referrals. I did one last week that I think is really cool. I did one last week actually at a hot rod shop. Oh, yeah. And which is going to be, that's like so unlike me. So if you think that someone like me fits in a hot rod shop, and that you don't have to feel that way. I think it's really cool. I actually kind of like it, and I learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun. So I look for places that are interesting, or restaurants that are newly opened, or things that are different. Um,
And I think
Does
that's
that
a
answer your
good
question?
point, is kind of, utilizing what's happening in the community to your advantage. You talked about, new restaurants that are opening, interesting things, stuff that kind of stands out. And I want to talk just for a second on the idea of, choosing your brand as the OC Vibes was, from what I'm hearing, it's an earned right. You've done, these thousands of transactions all across this area. People know you in all those parts of town. And I think a lot of agents who don't have that much experience and don't have that kind of reach, they're still tempted to brand themselves that way. But you talked about, being a little bit more community focused. And so not so much a question as it is a statement that I think, if you are watching this, you may want to make sure your brand fits with your experience, right? So if you haven't ever sold a house, probably don't try to be the county-wide agent in the same way that Valerie's able to, because she had already established herself that way, right? So it is okay to choose a brand that is more specific, that is more community-based, and you can get just as good a results. It just sounds like Valerie's community is the size of Orange County, which is great. So cool. So that helps us kind of get an idea of where to come up with.
Can I address that? Can I answer that?
Yeah, please do.
So I met a girl at a workshop last year, sweetest lady, just kind of shy, sweet lady. She said, I don't know what to be. And she created, it's a long story, but she created a brand that's Live to Give. She's in Florida. Has nothing to do with real estate.
Mm-hmm.
But that has become so popular, and it has branded her. So where she's actually a movement, and has people who follow her and people who join her, and they want to participate. They want to be a Live to Give business, or they want to be a Live to Give person. It's almost become like a club, and her name says nothing about Sherry, the real estate agent, and it doesn't say just an exact city, but it's about who she is and the things that have happened in her life that brought her to this point. And that's her brand. Everybody knows her as to Live to Give.
That's awesome. So in your opinion, how important is it to have this sort of separate name for the brand, right? So, OC Vibes versus just being kind of your name. Do you think that gives you some additional leverage by having that separate brand?
I don't know that it does, because there are some people who are known only by name. There are some agents, even in our area, it doesn't really matter what company you're with, people know who they are. And I could list them, and we all know them in our group here. It doesn't even matter what company you're with. So I don't know that that's important, but for me, it was important because I hadn't and usually, and you may think I'm wrong, I think usually when people are known strictly by their name, they're also more of a neighborhood or a community agent. I would say. Maybe that's not right. Tristan, you look like maybe you don't agree with me.
No,
I think of Valerie Fitzgerald in Los Angeles. She's just Valerie Fitzgerald. Or I think of some people in my area who we won't name because I want to give them advertising. Anyway, so they are who they are. But you know them because they are big agents in Newport Beach, for example.
Yeah, I got you. Like
Does that
Chris
make sense?
Plaza in Malibu, Ryan Serhant, New York.
Right.
You're totally right.
It kind of depends on what you're trying to build your brand around too, though, because, and I can say that from experience, whereas most of my content is authentic content. So I'm building my brand around my life. And so it isn't about an area or a city or whatever. And so there's no, and you didn't say this, Valerie, but it's not, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's what do you want to be known for? What comes off easiest for you? And I think in a lot of cases, especially for newer agents who don't have, a long history to feed off of, is to go become a community expert, because anybody can do that in any field. It doesn't matter. You're just giving back to the community, and therefore the community just starts to resonate. They start to know you. So I
think it's good if you can think of a name like the Real Estate Mama, or like I think of other people who've created names. There's a girl I met last year, and she was an Olympic gymnast. And so her name is Maggie, the Perfect Balance. So those kind of things, if people know you for that already, if they knew you as a teacher, or they knew you as a nurse, and then you became a realtor, then you might bring that into your branding.
Okay.
So true.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of, continuing the existing personal brand that you already have. That's a great point. Well, let's talk a little bit now about kind of the how-to, sort of the behind the scenes a little bit more. One of the questions I have for you, Valerie, is like just kind of talk to us about how these videos are made, right? So, what are you shooting with? Are you shooting with a phone? Do you use any other equipment? How are they being edited? Because I think that kind of detail is definitely very helpful for us. So let's just start with how you shoot them. So are they shot with a phone, a camera? Like, what does that look like?
My iPhone. Last year I wanted to buy a camera for my mom, had a landmark birthday. Wanted to buy a camera, and so I asked one of my colleagues what kind of camera I should get, and he said, what are you going to use it for? What do you need a camera for? Why aren't you just using your iPhone? So that's what I do. And I have people, what I'll call professional videographers, people I pay to do my videos, my videography, and they still use our iPhones. So that's all you need. Nobody, and a lot of people will write me and say, what kind of equipment do I need? If you have an iPhone, you're good. That's all you need. I don't think any of mine have been done with anything except maybe a couple have been done with the camera, but not for any specific reason. They just happen to be. And
to Valerie's point, just so everybody that's listening in, these phones get updated every year. So if you're updating every year, you have nothing to worry about. You've got the latest technology in the palm of your hand. So she is totally right.
And by the way, I did buy a camera for my mom's birthday party, and we used it at the birthday party, and it's been sitting in my drawer since then.
It's fun. You should do a video about that.
Yeah, I should. I should. I should.
Valerie, I have a question, and it goes into kind of behind the scenes too with what Nick's saying. So you're using an iPhone, and you thought, okay, super easy, no problem. But where do you usually post it to? Like, where are you thinking to post this to? Is it YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? What are you doing?
I post it everywhere, except I haven't started with TikTok yet.
Okay, you'll probably make Jeff angry, but we'll pretend you didn't say that because Jeff's feelings just got hurt.
No, Jeff, I need to learn to. And actually, I did sign up for a class, and I haven't implemented it yet. I have to admit it. So if anybody thinks I'm good at everything, I'm not.
We're always happy to help.
Jeff's going to teach me.
He is.
I need to do TikTok, and I would like to. And the same thing, you guys, when I first started, we all thought TikTok was, you had to dance and you had to jump around. You had to do all these crazy things. And there's a lady on the East Coast who does them, and she's more in my age range than yours. And I see her on TikTok, and okay, that's it. If she can do them, I can do it.
You know what? That's funny, Val, because people think that about you too, where that's how you connect with so many people. And I think you give so many people hope and inspire so many people in that way. So that's funny that you say that.
Hey, Val, do you know the name of that person that you follow on TikTok? Somebody asked.
What's her name, Tristan?
I don't remember. I've seen a few videos.
You can always put it in the comments of the Facebook post.
I'll send her to you guys. So there's a couple of questions that I want to get through, and then Nick, I'll go back to you.
Sure.
Consuelo says, how is she adjusting given the COVID restrictions? Any adjustments there, Val?
No. So you could see that a couple of my videos, I started out with a mask on, if that's what you're asking, but then I took my mask off. My confession video, which I did about things that I wanted to do during the COVID, I started with a mask. My 4th of July video, I went to the restaurant and took the mask on, had the mask on, and then took the mask off. So I'm not letting that bother me. However, let me see, when was the last week I did a neighborhood video, which was outside, and I've done a couple in my office. I did some outside here. But actually I do have some scheduled that are outside restaurant videos. Like, okay, how can you eat outside and still have a good time?
Val, what's your best performing video type?
Well, the best performing video I've had, you guys know about, is my protection video.
That's so good. So good.
Which I mentioned to my doctor. I had one. He said, "Was it about?" I said, "It's about you have to have protection." His eyes about fell out of his head. So let's talk about, where do you get material from? You want to go to that?
Let's go.
Sure. Yeah.
So my protection video was an idea that I got by watching Shark Tank. And to that point, you can get ideas for videos anywhere. Some of my colleagues and my friends sing or pretend they're singing, lip sing songs that work for them. One of them's on this call and she knows who she is. And some people, and I think those are great. I wish I could do that. I don't know. I'd have to really work at being a lip singer. And some people do TV shows. We know a lady who does some amazing videos that are takeoffs on TV shows like The Bachelor. She did one on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, whichever it was. But I got an idea on Shark Tank. Some guys came in and they were pitching a product called Saucemoto. And the idea was that it was this little plastic thing you would clip on the vent inside your car and your dashboard, and it would keep your dip from your McNuggets from spilling while you were driving and eating your McNuggets and dipping in the sauce. So they called it Saucemoto. And the idea was that you had protection, and that was their theme. And I sat down, I got up from the couch, I was watching it. I started beating my husband on the shoulder. I said, I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do that for real estate. I have to do it. And I thought about it all night, and I thought how I could do that. And I got the idea, kind of came how we could format that into real estate. And we've had over 50,000 views on that and still getting some. And people say, oh, you're the lady that was in the car. Yep, I was.
It's a really funny video. It's incredibly cute. It's creative. It's funny. It's all of the above. And that one you did with Cuevas.
I did with my Cuevas. Yep. So the idea is that when you see something, it doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to be mortgage. It doesn't have to have anything with the real estate industry. This was a little pack to put McNugget sauce in. And we thought about how to create a real estate video out of that, which really, I think that one is so good. I think that could be a commercial, actually, a real estate commercial. So I just encourage people to think out of the box. When you think of content, you asked about content, what else do you see? We all see something that we could somehow, how could I relate that to what I do? How could they build that into my personality or into my business?
It's like, and then you did the other one recently, which was the Nursery Rhyme, which was also incredibly creative.
So the Nursery Rhyme, I have a house that was decorated to be a vacation rental, and it was a vacation rental for about 7 or 8 years, which I managed. And we listed it for sale. It was all done in Disney theme. So I wanted to do something that was Disney theme. So I thought about being a fairy godmother, and I would dress like a fairy godmother and wave a magic wand, and that would be the room. But I couldn't find a fairy godmother dress that I really looked respectable in. So we got the idea to take one of the fairy tale books out of the princess room in that house and sat at the chair, and I started reading the fairy tale. And that was our story.
So
I love that. That's one of my most favorite recent ones that you've done, Valerie.
Really?
I really enjoyed that one a lot.
Well,
My kids, that's why I posted it on Facebook on Lab Coat Agents. I'm like, this is super creative.
Yeah.
Really was.
So, yeah, you got a few. I love
So
that.
there it was. All I was. I mean, I didn't wear anything different. I didn't do anything different. I just took a fairy tale book, which is in one of the bedrooms in the princess room we had. We opened it up. We pretend we were reading a fairy tale.
But you wrote a script for that. I mean, you changed the words to be real estate related, to be house related in this case.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And that's the thing that she just said that I want to point out to people is that where she finds her content ideas is not where you necessarily think you might find content ideas. Like she didn't turn on the TV to turn on Shark Tank and then let's watch Shark Tank so I can get a video idea. It doesn't work that way. You just have to shift the way you think to where when you're watching YouTube videos or you're watching television or you're reading a magazine or something, you got to just change the way you almost got to go into constant, that constant mode of how can I take this and turn it into this? And that's where the best ideas are found. That's where the best people, the best agents executing on video, they do the exact same thing. We hear it all the time.
Yeah, there's actually, go ahead.
Valerie, are you doing that strategically? Like, are you going out and watching things with that in the back of your head at all times? Or is it just sort of, you're just watching TV and you go, oh man, that would be a great idea for a video?
Yeah, it's not strategic, but I'm always thinking of what can I do different. That's just how I work. And no, it wasn't strategic at all. But when I saw it, for some reason, that hit me. that the theme was you needed protection. It just hit me.
Yeah.
I mean, all night I was awake. I kept hitting my husband on the shoulder. You know, okay, I got to do that. I have to do that. I've got to do that. I knew exactly what I needed to do, and I knew who I needed to do it with. I knew who I needed to do it, and it was just hysterical. It was funny.
I just wished I lived in your market because I wanted to be Cuevas for that video.
Well, you know, we should do something else. I have an idea for another one, so we just have to think of something.
He's
I
coming
know.
down.
I know. We
He's
should do
coming down,
that.
Valerie.
Yeah.
All right, Valerie, here on just a short little tangent on what you just said and what all of us commented here in regards to you watching that and then getting that idea from it to apply it to your business. Scientifically, what happens is the more that we dive into whatever subject we dive into, the more we learn about it, the more we put it in our face and continually read about it and hear about it. What happens is we have up to 70,000 thoughts in a day. And the way that we filter those is through our reticular activating system. And the only way that the reticular activating system picks up on anything to filter it is you continually have to continue to ask questions about that topic, continually read about that topic, listen to that topic, watch that topic. And so that's why, Valerie, when you were watching that, you live and breathe video. So your reticular activating system said, whoa, let's use this for video. And that's what you do naturally. That's the scientific part. So people understand that unless they go all in something, it's not going to happen.
But for example, like I had some pictures taken at the beach last year, and there was an empty log. So I stuck my head in the empty log, and then the caption was, "Are you looking for homes in the wrong places?" Okay.
Awesome.
And people could see it was an old log at the beach, right?
So good.
So just I always think about, you know, what caption can I put with this?
Val, we've got a few questions about how you execute. I know the answer, but I want you to tell the audience, do you do them all professionally done? Do you do them all on your own with a cell phone camera? Do you do some edited, some non-edited? Do you do all edited, all non-edited? What is your strategy there? Or as I think I know the answer, it's kind of it's a little bit of everything.
It is. So when I first started doing videos, I had a young man working for me who was making reservations for my vacation rental properties. And we said, let's go do this. And that was the one that took us like 4 or 5 hours. But together we got better. And then we just started getting silly. We did a Christmas one where Santa came down the chimney at my vacation houses. And we started just doing other things. And then I did holiday videos. And Jeffrey did those for me. And he was never was a photographer, he wasn't a videographer, but he was willing and he was talented and he was a good team member. And we did that together. He was great at that. And you know, he would have done anything for me. So we did that together. Then I tried to hire somebody else. But a lot of people want to do videos, but they don't want to do funny videos, or they think their idea of funny and creative isn't at all what ours is. So I had a couple of people do 1 or 2 that didn't work out. Then I started working with Mike Cuevas. And recently I interviewed a guy to possibly join my team. And he mentioned that he had been a sports videographer.
Oh.
So I said, oh, yeah, Tristan. I said, okay. He ended up joining our company, not under me, but he lives close to my office. So now he does my videos. And we are building that together. He just did the hot rod video, the hot rod shop.
Nice. So he's the one that holds the camera and makes sure to tell you, hey, Val, go over here, or that wasn't loud enough, or let's reshoot that type thing. Okay, got it.
He does a little bit, yeah. And then Mike edits most of mine, not all of them, but most of mine. He does a fabulous job. But you don't have to have somebody professional do them. There's so many programs now that you can do them. And when I go out to a restaurant, like we did Newport Beach Restaurant Week in January, and I took little videos and edited them myself. They're certainly not great. As you guys know, and everybody on this call, let me just make it perfectly clear. I'm not the technology person behind this by any means. I sit up all night, in tears. I can't make this work. I wish I could learn. I wish like I was as good as everybody else. But
What's your favorite video editor that you use?
for a program or a person?
Program.
Well, I just started using, I think it's called Adobe Premiere Rush. I just started using that. Before that, I was using iMovie.
So it sounds like you have other people edit most of your videos. How often are you doing them
Most of
yourself?
mine. I only do them like if I'm out at dinner or I'm doing like restaurant week and I'm going to just take a few, just some informal ones. But if I want them to be something that I really publish, I like to have somebody else do them because they do a better job than I do.
Right.
It doesn't have to cost a lot, and you still can use your own.
Do you
Well, some
have,
people are better at tech than I am. So
That's
some of
important
you
to
on this
share.
call will do a better job just because you are good with technology. You're better with technology than I am anyway.
But that's important to share because a lot of people don't want to take the time or don't have the patience to learn how to do it. And then there's the other grouping of people that say, I don't want to pay to do it. And so they just use those as their excuses. And so whatever side of the fence, I mean, listen to somebody like Val who says, I'm going to do it, but I want it. This is how I'm going to do it right. And I'm not going to be techie. I'm not going to do it myself. I'll do it to a certain degree, but for the most part, I'm shipping them out. And I love that you shared that because that's what a lot of people need to hear, to be honest with you.
But I like doing some of the videos. Like we went to a grand opening of a restaurant here, and so I did a really good job taking these little, really short clips, then putting them together. We sat down with my husband. I said, I'm going to learn how to do this. So we're watching. How do you do this? How do you do that? And eventually put a little clip together. But like I said, some people already are better at that than I am. So they don't have to it doesn't have to be fancy. None of this has to be fancy, you guys. And again, we're talking about authenticity. You are what you are. Everybody's not going to like you. And whatever you do is better than what you're not doing. Mm-hmm. And that's something that certainly I've learned.
Well, Valerie, that's why Nick and Jeff and everybody else involved here on Video Business School thought we needed to create something to be able to help people at every stage of where they're at. And when we saw your video, after I posted it into Lab Coats, I texted Jeff and Nick and Vanessa and Michael. And I'm like, we've got to bring her on because she's so inspirational to so many people. And even though we teach the basics and even more than the basics about video, I think you connected with people in a different way. And so that's why we wanted to bring you in and also let people know that we're here to help them out, right? So Valerie, from where you post, so let's say you do Facebook and YouTube mainly, which one do you get more engagement from?
I really do both. I think Facebook, just because we tend to see that, it's open, it's easy to see how many views you're getting. So it's a little bit faster response. So we think that it's better, but that doesn't mean that it is. And I need to, and yet YouTube is something I think that you guys may disagree with me about. I think it's something that you build on over time. Yep. And that you create a presence in. And yet I know a lot of people have gotten great results with their YouTube channels. And that's something that definitely I need to do. And I need to do with the OC Vibes brand as well.
Well, you know what, Val, I'm going to take just a quick second to show this really quick. This stat just came out from Facebook 3 weeks ago. You have 217 million Americans access Facebook every month. And 168 million American users access Facebook every day.
Wow. From
that, you get an average of an hour and 15 minutes on social spread between Facebook and Instagram. That's a brand new stat. So that to me shows that at least when you're posting to Facebook, I'm seeing it, and that's where I'm sharing it to other people. I go on YouTube occasionally, but it's different, right? And YouTube is amazing too. But I think if you want to start anywhere, it's a lot easier for most people to start with Facebook and then go to YouTube, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, you got a built-in audience when you start on Facebook. YouTube, you're starting from scratch, right?
Yeah, very true. Valerie, how often are you creating a video to post? Is it every week, every 2 weeks? once every month? How often?
So I started out doing them just once a month. And then we started doing them every couple of weeks. Now, last week I did 4 of them. And well, actually I did 5 of them. So now that I've got like the hot rod one, I can't wait to get that out. So I might like cheat and do like more this week or next week. I was actually going to put it out before today, but I decided to wait. But let me talk a little bit about helping people. Can I go back to that, Tristan?
Yes, do it.
So what happened is that when we did the video, the protection video, as you know, we had 50,000 views. I had so many people that messaged me and said, oh, I want to be like you when I grow up. Or they'd kindly say, oh, like for, you know, I don't know how to say this, but for where you are, I want to be, I hope I'm that way. You know what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I felt like I owed it to people to do something, to give something back, to be helpful. These people were looking up to me, and I felt like I wanted to do something back. I thought that was really nice of them to make those comments. And if people feel that way, I kind of wanted to do something back for them. Like, it's so nice of you to say those kind of things about me. How can I help you? So last week after I did the 3 videos locally, then I went outside and made the video about, I'm going to pick 3 people. But I get 50 responses to that. And so now, you know, just as you said, Tristan, how can we help people? I can't help 50 people. And the thought of that was that I had so much fun doing videos that day. And we taped something we never expected was going to be there. We ran into a situation that ended up being a whole 3rd video that we hadn't even planned. So I just had so much fun. And these people all want to do that, but they just don't know how. And I wanted to give back. You guys I wanted to say, you all are missing out on this, right? You all want to do this. You all have your story. So come on, get it out there, have a good time and do some videos. And I got great responses, but the intent was the intent was I just wanted to encourage everybody somehow, let me help you get started.
Val, how much of your business can you attribute to video?
So much of my business is still referrals, but certainly video has helped build my brand and get that recognition and get me back into the real estate world from being the vacation rental manager. And that's what I wanted. And I use it now. So some other things that you can use video for is you can use video, even if all you do is use it to send a birthday greeting to your clients. There's a guy in San Diego that has a standard birthday greeting, and then he personalizes the end of it. So use video to send personal messages. I saw on Facebook that you're having a hard time, or I saw on Facebook you won an award, congratulations. There's all kinds of things you can do. You don't have to just do these huge productions. And I think that's important for people to know. And that's what people should be doing. They need to learn to do that so that they're comfortable. Just start doing things that are little things, and then pretty soon you'll be comfortable and you'll do more with it. I think that's, you know, to your point, to all of your point, is that, you know, don't be an over preparer. Don't go to your grave regretting things that you wanted to do, but you were just afraid to do. Because that's been me. I am an over preparer. I would not do stuff if I thought it wasn't good enough. And what you would miss out on so much.
Well, Val, I think at the beginning you said that you're still, even when you shoot videos, you're still preparing, right? It's like you're never going to finish. So I love that you said that, because that's the case in everything that we do, right? So really, really good point. So we've got about 5 minutes more. Nick, Jeff, any questions that you guys have?
Well, I did want to share a slide or two, if that's all right, Tristan, because this is not the only time that we're talking to Valerie. And so I wanted to let people, I know there's been quite a few questions. We haven't gotten to all of them. So I wanted to share some information about the fact that we're doing another exclusive interview with Valerie next week inside of Business Video School. So obviously we want to continue to learn more from what she's done. And in particular, one thing we thought would be really good is we talked a little bit about the in the car video, the protection video, and all the attention and buzz and conversations that Valerie is able to generate from that. So we're actually doing 1 week exactly from the beginning of this webinar in the Business Video School. we're going to be doing a breakdown of that video. So we're going to be talking about, you know, how she came up with the idea, which we touched on a little bit today, but getting more specific there. You know, how the video was shot, why it was edited the way it was, you know, the importance of the beginning versus the middle versus the end, and really kind of ultimately breaking this down for all of our students in such a way that you can basically imitate it, right? We're trying to make this as easily as humanly possible for you. So that is something that's going to be going on inside of Business Video School. I had posted some links in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and throw them in there again in case people are having trouble finding them. But basically, they if you do get signed up for Business Video School, you'll have access to that. So let me see if I can find the chat again here. And so when I send these over, the second of those links, which is bit.ly/freevidtips. That is where you can, it's also on the screen, I just realized. But that's where you can learn more about Business Video School. It's $97 a month. Obviously, it's not the only thing we have in there, this conversation we're having with Valerie. We have all kinds of other stuff. We got weekly workshops. We have a bunch of courses we put together. We basically take someone from the very beginning, exactly what Valerie's talking about, using just a phone, no other equipment necessary, and learning how to start implementing video into your business. So if you feel like you'd like to have, you know, a little bit more time to ask some questions, interact with Valerie, get a little bit more of a deep dive with less people on there, more personalized attention, that would be a great opportunity for you. And then I also just wanted to mention one other thing, and because I know we're running out of time, but I do want to mention our weekly video recipes, because this has been a big hit since we started doing these just a couple weeks ago. So we know a lot of you are really busy right now. It's very hard to find time to fit in not only making videos, but learning how to make them in the first place. And so we created this a few weeks ago where every week we create an example video. We shoot it with just a phone, so it's exactly the way you would make it yourself. And then we send it out. So we send it to all of our students. We say, hey, here's an example of a video that you yourself can make. However, we're not just going to leave it at that. We also send you the script. So you have a customizable script that you can just plug your name and a few kind of key details into. We give you step-by-step instructions on how to shoot and edit the video. And we even write the post mostly for you. So whatever it is you would post when you share the video, we also give you a draft of that. And then on top of it, we do have some partners who can do the editing for you. It is an additional fee for that. But if you want to have somebody edit it for you, obviously we talked a lot about having that taken care of outside. You know, not having to do it yourself, we have that available for you too. So that just gives you, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I mean, we obviously have a whole bunch of different workshops coming up here. We have a bunch of different courses. I mean, there's literally a list of everything that goes on in the campus within the school. But obviously, especially if you're busy at the moment, you're probably not doing every single one of these. So what we're really recommending is that people are utilizing the video recipes so that you're at least getting a video done once a week or every couple weeks, and then you can pop in here and take these courses when you're available. So just want to mention that before we get wrapped up, because 1 week from today at the exact same time, we are talking to Valerie again. So if you felt like you benefited from this, you want to continue to learn from her. We're also giving Valerie a free membership to the school. So I can't guarantee she'll be hanging around too much in there, but obviously we're going to have her present here over the next couple weeks as well. And you'll be able to interact a little bit more inside of there. So just wanted to mention that real quick since we had a couple minutes. Appreciate it.
Hey, Valerie.
So let me just say, I wish I had had that. I wouldn't have shed as many tears, and I would have been a lot less frustrated. And what we all need is just, at least for me, it's just like, okay, tell me step by step. What do I do? And then what's the next thing I do? And what's the next thing I do? And what do I do next? And we don't, as a general rule, we haven't had that. That's what people want, is just, how do you do it? Easy way. You don't have to be a technology guru. Just make it easy so I can make it happen.
I love that. Hey, Val, what does your husband think of all of this? You've mentioned him multiple times. What does he think of all this?
Oh, I think he likes it. I think he's very proud of me. He's a good guy. He's one of those people that has joy in finding someone else be happy and achieve their goals. And he's my everything. And he's my rock.
Cool. That's very cool.
Love that. Those are
and
good.
he lets me beat him on the shoulder when I have an idea.
I love it. Well, thank you, Val. We'll see you inside of Business Video School. And thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.
Nick, Jeff, Val, have an awesome day.
Thanks,
Bye,
Bill.
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you
See
for
ya.
having me. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.